You're listening to the Fan Club Podcast, where two polar opposites experience each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of the Fan Club Podcast. My name is Sarah.
This is Matthew.
And we have some special guests. We have the gentlemen that make up Earth894. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. So
Yeah.
My name is Devin Stone. I am one of the co-hosts at Earth894. And you're going to hear from the best co-host in the world, in my opinion. No bias here.
Hi, my name is Louie. I am the other half of Earth894 podcast, Marvel Cinematic Universe adventure that we go on. Thank you for having us today.
Yeah,
excited.
tell the people a little bit about what you guys do week to week. Like, what's your podcast about?
Yeah, so we like to pretty much do what a lot of people do out there and put our own little unique twist on it. But we talk about whatever news that usually kind of catches our eye that's going on in the MCU, but also anything that's like adjacent, like Sony with all their
Morbius.
Yeah, we covered so much Morbius. It was Morbin time every week. Yeah, we love Morbius. We loved it so much. It's the best Morbius movie ever made. We swear by it.
We want Morbius.
It'll probably be the only Morbius movie ever made.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, I've been told it did not do well.
As Loki said, and one time, and I mean, yes, very sad. Anyways, we also do reviews on things like the shows and episodes like Loki, and we like to talk about just anything that's usually fun about MCU and try and just kind of somehow try and not talk about our latest escapades and collecting like Funko Pops every week. So
yeah, well, we do. We have a segment called MCU for You. That's where we talk about the movies we've watched, the TV we've watched, the Funko Pops we've collected, anything that's Marvel in our lives.
Nerd's gonna nerd.
Hey, gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, right now we're going over Miss Marvel mostly. That comes out every Wednesday. And we are super jazzed for Thor, Love and Thunder.
I cannot wait.
I watched half the trailer with the sound off because I didn't want to spoil it myself. It looks so good.
Louie has
don't
not
watch
seen
trailers.
any trailers. So even every time, I love this. I literally wait every time it happens. So when we go see a movie, Louie tries to avoid trailers as much as possible from Marvel stuff. He will literally be like 2 seats away, closing his ears, closing his eyes, mumbling something to himself, like a low audible hum, but like
I think
loud enough so he can't hear the stuff. It's good.
I think I might need to start doing that because like trailers, especially like the latest episodes that we've been doing, I've been like watching the trailers before I watch the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm severely disappointed with the trailer. Like I always have like super low expectations going in because I watched the trailer and I'm like, this isn't like none of what's in the movie is in the trailer.
Yeah, I feel like the trailers have too much of what's in the movie in it. Like you watch too many trailers and then it gives you this much of the movie, this much of the movie.
It's just a different vibe, I feel like.
So yeah, as far as the Thor Love and Thunder trailer that I know of, I've seen the little boy running across the screen and Sweet Child of Mine playing, and then usually I go in the middle of the theater like a child, but I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah, sorry, Louie, it's spoilers, but that's actually Axl Rose. Axl Rose and the rest of Guns N' Roses are in Thor Love and Thunder. So I'm sorry. Yeah.
So today we are covering the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. What is your guys' relationship to this movie? You guys saw it when it came out.
I saw this movie. I have a funny little story. My friends all saw it together on my birthday. We had made plans to go see it together, but we were all working at the time, so it was hard to see it all of us together. So one guy got left out, which is now the only friend that's still around, my friend Richard, and he would not live it down. I hate the Guardians. I'm never watching that movie. I hate you guys every time it got brought up. Until one day we were just sitting downstairs and I just turned it on the television and he's like, "No, I'm not watching this." I said, "You can leave if you want." And he's like, he just watched it. So I remember it being my birthday. We all went into this terrible theater by our house and we Guardians did up. When it came out, nobody knew who these people were really. The big comic book guys knew, but we didn't know what a Star-Lord was or a Gamora, Drax the Destroyer.
Because these weren't like big, like these weren't like one of the big people in the comics, correct?
Not.
They were kind of
really.
like they were like almost like a joke. Just people didn't really catch on to them, or they weren't as popular in like your like weekly releases and everything, just because they were just very ragtag. But I think really what this movie does is really show like the actual potential of what this group can do. And I mean, now they're one of like the most beloved parts of the MCU, and I mean they have their own theme park rides, everything. It's insane.
Because they weren't together. Their group wasn't together until 2008 for the Guardians arc. Is when the 5 of them were combined. But like Star-Lord appeared in January of '76.
I feel like you're gonna be doing that a lot, accidentally calling him Star Wars.
Rocket was introduced in summer of '76. Gamora was in June of '75. Drax was actually introduced in Iron Man in February of '73, and Groot appeared in November of '60. So they've been around for several decades, but they weren't big.
What was the like general like opinion when this movie was first announced? Like, were people excited about it? Were people like, I don't know about this?
I know from like I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, and every now and then he'll talk about from time to time like remembering like, man, I remember when that movie got announced and I was like, Marvel, I love you guys, but like, really? Are you sure? And I mean, everyone, I don't know anyone personally. Excuse me. I don't personally know anyone who actually dislikes at least Volume 1 of Guardians. Guardians 2, I know it's not everyone's favorite.
We haven't made it that far yet, Devin.
I know. I'm just saying. But I mean, just like I'm just trying to set the precedent though that Guardians 1 is like super beloved. I mean, it's been.
I have yet to speak to anyone that is like, oh yeah, Guardians 1 is trash. Like everyone loves it.
Nah,
like,
Louie, isn't it one of your top?
I believe it was in my top 5.
Yeah.
I have had so many people, both in person and online, tell me that they're really excited for me to get to this one. I really hope I don't disappoint you guys.
Because I mean, it is also the first one that was done by Disney that was not in correlation with the Avengers. Right. Yeah. It wasn't one of the Avengers.
I think for me personally, going in blind, it was hard for me to wrap my brain around, only because I've been in such Avengers mode lately. Like I've had a relationship with the Avengers, for lack of a better word, for almost a phase and a half. Yeah. So like it was a little bit difficult kind of getting my head around this movie, just because it was all new people.
And it was such vastly different locations. Like,
yeah, and we've been on Earth this whole time, except for Asgard, of course. But starting out in the movie, we are in 1988, which sets the stage for fantastic music in this movie. Yeah. Like my dad's a guitar player. Oh, nice. Not a famous one, but he's a guitar player.
Same.
And I grew up around like what I refer to as dad rock. And so this music is my childhood. This is the type of music that my dad would play in the house just for fun. I have a lot of just a love for the soundtrack specifically of this movie, and I love how it's all framed around this cassette tape.
Do you want to guess the state that Peter Quill was in?
The what?
The state.
Oh,
was he in Missouri?
Yep.
I was gonna go Middle America somewhere.
Yeah, it's Missouri. The only way you can tell is because above the nurse's stand, there's the two flags, USA and Missouri state flag. Above the nurse's station.
I don't think I would recognize the Missouri state flag if I saw it, to be completely honest.
Missouri is on Earth.
His grandpa, nobody in this recording is going to have any frame of reference for this, but his grandpa is played by the guy who plays Quinn's dad in Glee, which I was kind of excited to see.
Quinn's dad in Glee?
Yeah. I grew up watching Glee. It was like a massive thing for me in high school. I know it's a bad show. I recognize that.
No hate.
Oh, Quinn was the girl that. Yeah. Okay.
The girl that got pregnant, the chariot.
Yeah.
Cheerleader. Yeah, it's her dad. He plays an
hot dog.
asshole in everything.
He wasn't an asshole in this.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of shocked. I was like, why is he not a bad guy?
Take my hand, Peter.
This scene where his mom is dying from cancer and then he immediately gets abducted by aliens. So traumatic.
Yeah, the first time seeing this in theaters, I was not prepared for that moment. And for me, that was like, oh my God. I mean, it's not on the same. If I had to put out like a scale of 1 to 10, where maybe 10 is the intro life cinematic in the beginning of Up with Carl and his wife to like Bambi's mom getting killed, I'd say it's probably a good mix between that. For me personally, because I was like, this movie looks fun. It looks great, and then I'm like, what the hell is this, man? Like the first 5 minutes, it's a little sad. It got my heart racing.
He gets kidnapped by aliens.
I don't understand how he's so well adjusted. Like he seems like a pretty normal dude, all circumstances, you know.
I think he's supposed to be like in his 30s, so I mean it's been about 20
I know,
years.
but like
about 25 years.
I think it said at the beginning, I think it said like 26 years later or something.
Maybe.
I think there was like a title card, if I'm remembering correctly. But like still, I mean, there are people with like much less trauma than that like take it with them for the rest of their lives. So like,
oh, he has trauma. Don't you worry. You will see more of his trauma.
I wasn't expecting, not to say that like these movies haven't had like pretty poignant sad moments. I mean, we literally deal with Tony Stark's PTSD in these movies, but it's like a different scale, I feel like, in this one.
Yeah, I think that also comes down to just James Gunn knows how to really mix emotions and themes while still keeping it on like some central line, like keeping it in the center, and that's what you're actually experiencing here.
It's not even the most heart-wrenching scene in the movie.
Yeah, I know, but still, like
there's a lot in this movie of different points like that.
Yeah.
Almost entirely.
But yeah, he gets abducted by aliens, and the only thing he has with him from Earth is his Walkman.
In the gift.
What planet is he on that he breaks into this cave? Or does it not matter?
No, that definitely matters. He's on Morag.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm assuming that comes into play later.
Yes.
I'm not saying anything, but he's on Morag.
It comes back in.
The Power Stone is on Morag.
Yeah.
I do really like his like mask thing that he uses to his like breathing apparatus thing. Yeah, it's cool. I thought that the cinematography of like the special effects of him like putting it on and you like wearing it as one of those like old school like Bluetooth headsets.
Yeah, and it's also part of it too because that's one thing that's really good about this movie in general. Even like as I rewatch it, there's more little things that like just detail. Yeah, and one of them too is like, well, you know, people complaining in Star Wars, how do they do this and that? Well, it's like it's supposed to be fantasy, guys. Don't question everything. As in, why do they have sound in space? Because they're not supposed to. But he does have like where it originates. I believe it's shown on his like back of his right ear. He has almost like what looks like a component. Yeah, it's really that's where also he has like a universal. He has an implant of like a translator. Because you see
he's
that
got
later
one.
on in the.
He's got.
Yeah.
For those of you who can't see this, he's literally holding up. Louie is literally holding up a mask that is a la Star-Lord's little space mask.
You know, when I started the podcast with Louie, we started together. I did not expect him to be such like a prop, like just person. Aficionado is not the best word, but I will just be talking about something and he'll be like, "Bam! Here's this like 10-inch Galactus that I made one reference to, and then all of a sudden Galactus is in the episode. Talk about a different character, bam! He's got something else for it. There you go. See, he's literally eating a planet in his mouth. Like Louie is the master of podcast prop comedy."
He's the eater of
worlds. It's such a shame that this is not a visual medium.
It happens. Neither is ours.
Sometimes.
He breaks into this cave. He steals the orb that later houses the Power Stone. He basically gets caught.
Man.
But there are some cool, interesting things on the walls in that cave. You see the creators of the universe on the walls.
That's cool.
You see the person of life, person of death, it's what? Empathy, and I don't remember the fourth one. But you see the 4 creators of the 4 main beings of the universe.
I didn't even know
wall.
that.
There's
You see it for a split second.
there's death. I don't know if that's actually the formal name, but basically you have death, you have eternity, you have entropy.
Entropy.
Is it entropy? Is it?
I didn't even notice there was anything on the walls.
We have
Didn't
that
look
very
at all.
Yeah, but it's basically trying to show you, like, that's the other thing in this movie, just not even just the little details, like even the prison scene. I'll bring something up later, but this movie really set up the cosmic, everything to do with the Infinity Stones. I mean, it gives us like an actual true origin of just like explaining and introducing it to the audience. When James Gunn even tweeted about it, saying like, honestly, they just wanted me to have like one reference to Thanos cameo in this movie. All the rest they said I can pretty much come up with. So like, from just him on full whim and him having the true like knowledge of the source material, I mean, it just pays off greatly here. And it's exactly like those little things you might even know that are there, and you're still trying to find like Easter eggs like 5 years later. It's insane.
Dude, that's a more recent find. Is that?
I don't know. Maybe I didn't notice it because I'm bad at noticing things, but also our TV has really bad glare in our living room because we have great big windows, so it's like it's really hard to see sometimes. But I didn't even notice there was anything on the walls.
It's
Big
on the
Texas
floor,
sun.
wall. Yeah, it's on the floor on the walls. It's like carved into it.
I'm gonna have to rewatch the movie then.
I'll find the.
I do love that. So he calls one of the guys like that captures him. He calls him a Ninja Turtle, and I thought this later after we finished it that all of his references are 80s references.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting touch. I didn't think about that within the movie.
Oh, just wait.
Oh yeah, that's when he gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
No, I get that, but I find it really funny that all of his little like when he calls somebody a name, it's always a reference to something from the 80s, which is nice. Little nice touch.
That's all he knows.
How did he get his technology to work in space? Like how did he get batteries in space, like to power his Walkman?
I gotta imagine you're in space. I mean, you see all the technological advancements that they have compared to Earth. They gotta have something.
The Guardians actually, something happens with batteries later on with them, so you'll see batteries in the Guardians movies. It'll be quite all right. Yeah.
So then we go to what's his face? What's his face? Ronan. We go to Ronan.
The accuser.
We figure out he wants to destroy Xandar. There's this like very long sequence where like they're getting him dressed and like painting him and stuff, which was like very odd. But the blue makeup, I kept thinking reminded me of. Do you guys remember the movie Big Liar?
Oh yeah,
Fat Liar.
It's a Big Fat Liar, the one with Paul Giamatti and yeah.
Muniz.
Okay. It's just like I don't know if it's like a particular shade of blue.
And then when Ronan, pretty much, when he kills the Xandarian, and the blood goes into that pool thing, that's where he got out of. So he literally sleeps in the blood of his enemies.
That's very unsettling.
That's metal, man. That's Creed. That is just that's what they do. That's Ronan.
Of his enemies, because it goes into the same like vat that he woke up in.
Yeah, he's a pretty bad guy. He's gross.
We also get some references to is her name Nova, the blue chick, that she's Thanos' son.
Nebula.
And I had a thought. Nebula.
A daughter of Thanos.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Words are hard.
There's the daughters of Thanos and the sons of Thanos.
I literally asked Matthew out loud. I was like, so Gamora is a daughter of Thanos and Nebula is a daughter of Thanos. Thanos is purple. Nebula is blue. And Gamora is green. How does this work?
You'll find out. Let's move along. No, Thanos I don't think Thanos has any biological children in the MCU.
Not in the MCU.
If that helps.
He does in the comics.
I mean, we said the same thing about Voldemort, but look at Cursed Child.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
We don't talk about Cursed Child.
I agree.
We don't talk about Cursed Child.
We don't.
We want to talk about a Cursed Child. I mean, Peter Quill, man, that poor kid. He's got a lot of curses going on. but
And
she's
the
People
popping.
who haven't read Cursed Child are like, what? Voldemort has a kid?
Thanos in the comics has a daughter with Death in the comics.
That's fun. So we're on Xandar, and basically Rocket is like people watching, and we get our Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
That's fun.
He was actually going to have a different cameo, but then Disney didn't like that, and so they made.
Yeah, wasn't it like super like not
He was
family friendly or something?
Yes,
I mean, they had him in Iron Man as like a Hugh Hefner stand-in, so
but
it's
that
like
was also not Disney. That was Paramount.
this is true, but I'm just saying it's not far off.
That scene with Rocket's one of my favorites when he's pointing at the little kid walking down the stairs and he calls him a little gargoyle. And he yells, "It's not okay to get help."
Yeah. Oh man, I think Rocket is like one of the best things about Guardians. Just period.
Oh man. So
Yeah.
without, I assume just in pop culture you've seen that Groot becomes small.
Yes.
That I assume you know that
I
you don't
know-
always have big giant Groot,
I
right?
know the existence of Baby Groot because Matthew loves Baby Groot.
So I'm sorry, Matthew, I'm gonna say this. I believe that giant Groot in Guardians 1 is superior Groot. And it's not close.
But we have Baby Groot in the brain, though.
Yeah, but
In
But
Guardians 2. And then Baby Groot dancing at the beginning of Guardians 2, though.
Matthew loves the comedy.
oh, this giant Groot's the best. He is just the best.
One of my favorite facts about Groot is that he, that Vin Diesel recorded his line in like a number of different languages
Yeah.
Yo soy
because he
Groot.
only says one
Yo
thing,
soy.
so it's not that hard.
Yo soy Groot.
He
Yeah.
says a total of 4 words, 4 unique words.
He says
No,
we
fi-
are Groot.
5. Yeah, so we are Groot, and then I am Groot. So that's total is 1, 2, no,
4
1,
unique
yeah, 4.
words.
4 unique words. There it is.
Yeah.
We can count.
He don't talk good like you and me.
Yeah.
We all adults here. We talk good.
I was really hoping they didn't make a romance with Star-Lord and Gamora, but yet they did because they had to.
Yeah. Come on.
There always has to be a love interest in every movie.
I was glad that she rejected his kiss, though. Thank God.
Give it to
Not that I dislike Star-Lord or anything. I just could do with one of these movies without a single romance. That would be nice.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, honestly, that is a fair. I mean, to kind of beat that trope, you don't always need your Bond girl or your person who's like a damsel in distress.
I think it's just because I have, and I say this in like literally every single episode, I can't stand Pepper Potts, okay? I don't know if it's my beef with Gwyneth Paltrow or it's the character, but I can't stand how she's just like there. And she actually does something in Iron Man 3, thank God. But like,
She's the CEO of Stark Industries.
no, but like, I mean, she's the love interest for all intents and purposes, and that like irks me. And I really like Black Widow because she doesn't have the romance aspect watering her down.
Yeah, give it to
And I was kind of hoping for that with Gamora, but alas, the way you're reacting makes me feel like I'm going to eat my words.
No, she doesn't have a romance with Tony Stark.
Yeah. It's not with Tony Stark.
I think the first thing that we get without like a love interest is probably the Black Widow movie.
I seem like a huge hypocrite because I'm a massive Captain Peggy fan. Like I love them, but
I don't think there's one in Captain Marvel. Is there? I don't think there's a love interest
No,
in Marvel.
I guess you're right. Captain Marvel doesn't have one either.
And I'm like going through my head trying to think if there's anything prior, but yeah, maybe it's
The
Captain Marvel.
Hawkeye show doesn't have one either, if that helps.
Well, if you
But,
count
I mean,
his wife.
Hawkeye Yeah, he has.
But not for
I
Kate.
mean,
But that's not a love interest.
Yeah,
She's
that's
barely in
fair.
it at all.
like I don't get me wrong, I like Gamora, but I had high hopes for them not just automatically resting on their laurels with her with just inserting a romance plot.
Mhm.
And
yeah,
The one thing that's kind of interesting though too with just the whole romance aside, I mean, yeah, Peter, I mean, right away you see him, he has that one, I think she's pink or she's purple, the one girl who just
Pink.
kind of just crawls up, and if you notice she's actually wearing the same shirt he got abducted in,
Yeah.
That's the real magic of it all. How the hell does that shirt still stay in like a good quality?
I've
They must have some
I've
like
seen girls on
cosmic
TikTok.
detergent
I've seen
that's
girls on
amazing.
TikTok buying shirts from like the kids section and wearing them. So it girls do it. I don't.
I'm just
but
saying, how
girls
does he
do
keep
it.
that shirt like not ripped, torn, like completely faded after like 26 years? I mean, you
love
see that
Rip
guy.
Torn.
Couldn't you
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
But basically, you can still see he's a bit of a womanizer. He's a very kind of like, just like
he's like
Playboy.
Iron
kind of guy.
He's
a
like
playboy.
He's like Iron Man. He's like Tony Stark in Iron Man 1.
He laid with an Ascavarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You,
they have
man who lay with Ascavarian.
It was one time.
and they have spikes.
Yeah, I wouldn't quote me on that. But my original point was being like there is that romance piece with him and Gamora. I mean, we're gonna see more of it unfold, but I mean, really, it comes down to is like they're really trying to discover how can they actually be a team, and then also like creating a family element out of it too. I think that's one of the best pieces of like the Guardians is that like out of all the other teams you see in the MCU throughout the various phases, I feel like the Guardians probably do one of the best jobs of having their differences, but trying to actually resolve them in a better like not saying that like it's super healthy, but no matter what, at the end of it, when like thick or like when things really get thick, like they can actually still band together and set aside their differences and still make like sacrifices for one another. I mean, that's one of the best parts about this whole movie with towards the end with how they take down Ronan and everything. So I think that's like one of the best parts is really just
It's
like the true
nearly
love
like-
is the family element.
Yeah, it's basically a found family, essentially.
Right.
Because they're all lost souls. Yeah, all I'm saying is I think romance complicates those dynamics a little bit. And I mean, we see it in like every freaking movie that like somebody has a romance with somebody else in the group and then they fight and then the group starts fracturing. And like that's not what these movies are. So that's all my frustration is really.
I think everyone would go on Gamora's side, not Peter's side on the Guardian side. If there was like a situation like that, they'd be like, yeah, whatever, Quill. We're going with her.
And we have our first introduction to Glenn Close. I don't know what her character's name is. I'm sorry.
Nova Prime.
I'm bad at this.
Nova Prime, the leader of the Nova Corps.
I freaking love Glenn Close though.
Yeah,
She will forever be Cruella de Vil in my brain.
That's why she's so familiar. I never looked up her IMDb page, but now it all clicks. Now it makes sense.
I watched that. Trust me, and my mother, if she were listening to this, could attest to this. I watched that movie on repeat constantly as a child. I love Glenn Close. She's amazing. What an icon.
The prison scene was one of the best, man. They're walking up, and then the big giant blue guy is up in Star-Lord's face, and he goes, "Oh, we got some fresh meat." And then the best character in the movie, Groot, shoves his fingers up dude's nose and lifts him off the ground. Baby Groot can't do that. Big Groot can. Lifts him off the ground, and this guy's like, "Oh!" And then Rocky gives this little speech, and he says, "We go through you." And then Guy falls down, and I'm like, "Yeah!"
You know that's nuts, Nathan Fillion, right?
Yeah, that guy's Nathan Fillion.
I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me now that you say it.
Matthew like got really into that show, The Rookie, a while back.
Oh, like that police show he's in, right?
Yeah.
I still need to finish season 4.
I just know Nathan Fillion from Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Yeah.
God, that brings me back.
He's also TDK in the new Suicide Squad movie.
For 5 minutes.
I mean, I love Nathan Fillion. He's like in a million things. I love him for like Castle. I know that like my oldest brother is a massive Firefly fan.
Firefly. Yeah, Firefly's pretty good.
I can't lie, I've only seen one episode. It wasn't my thing. I love that they're discussing how hard getting the battery is going to be, and then Groot just rips it out like, nothing.
Batteries.
See, there you go. Batteries.
Oh, okay. I see where you were going with that.
So even before the batteries, we meet Drax, the Destroyer, because Gamora's like getting ready to get just absolutely
Murdered.
shivved to
Okay,
death.
here's my question. Why is this prison, like, mixing genders?
Because as far as Rocket said, they just make sure that nobody escapes. They don't care about what happens on the inside. And also
Okay, maybe
because
space is different, because I've watched every prison documentary that is known to mankind, and that does not happen on Earth, at least.
for what it's
we're
worth,
not on
I
Earth.
don't for what it's
All the
worth,
feds.
I don't think there are any actual space prisons, but if there are, I don't know if they mix genders or what have you. But for this movie, they needed her to be with everybody else. So that
just seems highly dangerous.
what they did. And then one of the best lines from the movie is Drax ready to cut her head off, and then Peter's like, "You come with us, and then we'll go get Ronan, and then you can." And he says, "Why would I drag my finger across his throat?"
The man doesn't get metaphors.
Yeah, but even after that, he looks at that really ugly guy and he goes, "I like this knife. I'm keeping it." He goes, "That was my favorite knife," which is hilarious. Come on. Best part.
These are good one-liners. Also, I mean, the iconic that is like one of the best jokes in the MCU is like when they're coming up with the plan, is like, "We need this, I need this." And he's like, "I'm gonna need that guy's leg." Quill gets the leg, and he's like, "Ha, you actually did it?" It's like, "No, I don't need it." It's like,
I just
yeah,
transferred
like,
him 30,000 units.
it's like, oh, like what that guy said.
What did he look like hopping around?
I do love the line the Star-Lord calls Drax a thesaurus.
Do not call me a thesaurus.
I should not know what
That
is.
was funny. Yeah, then they escape from prison. I don't like. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really have a ton of notes on that scene specifically. If you guys have a lot to say, that'd be.
Well, as they escape prison, they need the orb because the orb is worth 4 million billion units, something like that.
4 billion units.
So they need the orb, and Peter needs his Walkman. We see why later, but he needs it. So he tells them, "Go, be free. Take the orb and go. I'll be there. Just give me a second." And then they're waiting for him, and they're like, "Why are we waiting for this guy? We don't even know him. We have the orb. Let's go." Turns out he tricked him. He still has the orb. Goes in, beats up that blue guy he was listening to Hooked on a Feeling. Blue Swede. That's my song. He was took it. Now he's flying through space, and he gets onto the thing, and then they're off to nowhere, I believe.
Yeah, they go to nowhere.
And when they enter nowhere, there is a shot, like an establishing shot of them entering nowhere, and it reminded me so much of the movie Coco.
Oh yeah.
When you first see like the afterlife, and like there's like that big sweeping shot of like the town, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the cinematography in that scene really reminded me of Coco for some reason.
I feel like Nowhere doesn't remind me of Coco at all, but I'll take
I've
your
never
word
seen
for it.
Coco. So.
It's that specific
That's good.
shot, not necessarily the place.
That's fair. And Nowhere is pretty cool too, because I mean, like, this is another thing that's just it's
Nowhere. It's a place. It sucks.
Yeah. But it's an entire like space outpost inside of the head of a now dead.
It's in the Celestial's head, which you'll see more Celestials in Eternals.
Which is, once again, like you're saying, a whole new thing.
Spoilers,
Yeah.
man.
I'm not looking forward to Eternals.
And we have this scene on why did I almost call it a boat? The ship, with Gamora and Star-Lord, and he like tries to kiss her,
Or it's on it's not in the ship. It's while they're waiting for the collector.
Yeah.
So it's like out on like a bridge.
Yeah. But he tries to kiss her. I'm glad she stood her ground.
He's playing Sam Cooke.
I did like how he put his headphones on her. I thought that was kind of sweet, but I like that she didn't kiss him back. That was nice.
Says she took her knife or her sword to his neck.
Was this the one where she goes like yelling with the headphones in? I'm like, your pelvic sorcery will not work on me. Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun.
They are all out partying and they're gambling. I love those. What are those little dinosaur things that they're gambling with?
I don't know. It would be the rats. I don't know. They're rodents.
I feel like it was like their version of like Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Their version of chicken fights.
Yeah, that was fun. Or like dog fighting or something like that. Yeah, is this where he like he fumbles with the orb and it's completely
that's in the collector area.
That's what it was.
But my issue with that scene, with when Drax and Rocket are fighting, Star-Lord yells 4 billion units. That entire place is infested with outlaws. Wouldn't one of them have like killed them to get the units?
Right?
They don't have the units, so killing them is useless.
But they would have gone the orb.
Yeah,
they would have gone whatever they were trying to sell.
Honestly, I think yes, probably would have happened. But given, like, would it make the story or the movie any better? I think it's just like what? Like you maybe hear rumblings, but they're not gonna do another fight scene. It would probably just like add unnecessary minutes, or who knows? Maybe they did and they cut it. But one thing that is really good that I'm glad they did feature here, like going back to the heart of it all, right? With the Guardians, I mean, we get to see Rocket, who is like one of the most like unique characters who really has a lot of good depth, just because of all his like modifications and all the tests they've done on him and just the trauma he has. I mean, you get to hear him almost like have a little bit of a breakdown as he's like aiming his gun at everyone, and he's telling like, I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't want this to my life. I don't want to be this monster, because that's how he really sees himself all the time. And it's like, once again, like beginning of the movie, they hit you in the feels right away. Laugh, good times, some action, some fights, really good quips, innuendos up the wazoo. But then like it brings you back to like this grounded reality that there's actually still like good substance to these characters in the story, and that's just another thing that's like very unique about this movie in the MCU that just hits home. And I'm really big fan of Rocket because of it.
Yeah, the important part of the rodent fighting, the cockfighting, if you will, was that they were getting pretty sauced up. They were drinking.
Yeah,
they were drunk, and Rocket finally has like a breakdown because he keeps everything bottled up, and once he gets all wasted, he's like, oh well, she called me vermin and he called me a rodent, and he's got the guns ready, and he's just so that was like a big deal that he finally let something out, like Devin was saying.
And then I guess this isn't our introduction to the Collector, but we meet him in a more formal sense, I guess. I said this in our Thor Dark World episode, which, as of recording this, it goes up next week. But
shout out to Brian.
That's our boy. I feel like all we do is plug this guy now.
The Collector really reminds me of Mugatu from Zoolander.
I've never seen Zoolander.
I've never seen it either.
It's one of Matthew's like favorite movies of all time. It's Will Ferrell's character in Zoolander.
Real question: when is Ben Stiller coming to the MCU? Right. There's got to be a museum somewhere that needs a night guard.
He's just basically Ant-Man.
Actually, I would give me an episode of What If. I know you're listening, Feige. Give us an episode of What If where literally it's night at the museum, but it's night at the Collectors, and it's this character from Night at the Museum, literally just there he is,
and that would be it.
That would be it.
He's like one of our biggest listeners.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's on the top Patreon tier. Yeah, that's what I want. Ben Stiller and Night at the Museum at the Collectors. Do it. We'll start a letter campaign.
Our top patron, K Feige XOXO111.
Wouldn't that be the dream?
But I do love all of the Easter eggs that are in.
We've got a dark elf.
We have.
Originally, his family was supposed to be in this. It was supposed to be his cameo was supposed to be in this scene.
That's what it was. It wasn't with Ronan. It was with this.
Yeah, originally Stan Lee was supposed to be in one of the cases, flipping that off the camera, but they felt like it wasn't family friendly enough.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
Yeah, you get the Chitauri.
You get Cosmo, the space dog.
As you've referenced 500 times.
He's important. Howard the Duck.
Yeah, we got Howard the Duck
Howard
in the
the Duck is one of Brian's top 5 Marvel movies of all time.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things when we asked him to introduce himself on the podcast, like tell the people who he is. That was like one of the first things he said was Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, we're a little young to get that reference.
I mean,
it was, I think, the first rated R Marvel movie.
It looks horrifying, is what it is. Sorry, Brian.
Good.
You know, I think
we'll watch Howard the Duck. I'll find it for you.
I think we need to do like a watch. I've never seen it
Have
either.
an
And honestly,
episode on Howard the Duck.
I kind of want to do it now. Because content, right? But also, y'all see those memes that have been going around lately? It's like he's a 10 or she's a 10, but
yeah.
I'm gonna make one soon. Like to app Brian. I want to start a meme more with this guy, but it's gonna be like he's a 10, but Howard the Duck is in his top 5 MCU movies.
Yeah, Howard the.
For context, y'all, like go follow Mr. Marvel, or go listen to our Thor Dark World episode. He talks a little bit about it, but if y'all are missing that.
Mr. Marvel's Minutes, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Brian's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, Brian.
But Cosmo is actually the leader of the Security of the Unknown in the comics. And then the Guardians video game on Xbox and PlayStation.
Oh, I just beat the game, and yeah, it took me a while, and I finally got a PS5, so I can actually run something not on a toaster. So good. So good.
I wish the Guardians would... This isn't even about Guardians of the Galaxy. I just wish the Guardians would be part of the Marvel Avengers game.
We couldn't get through that Marvel's Avengers game.
He's a 10, but he loves the Marvel Avengers game.
Okay, I don't love it. I don't love it.
Matthew's a big gamer boy.
Yeah, I stream on Twitch and
Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales is what it was our jam.
So in this scene with the Collector, we get introduced to the concept of the Infinity Stones, which I was glad to have,
or more of their past and making.
I was glad to have finally explained to me, because I've known that they existed for forever. I just had no idea, like, what any of them do or why we want them. So it was kind of nice to finally understand that little piece.
I still have.
It's not a little piece; it's a big piece.
I still have issues with the Ether one from Thor: Dark World.
Oh yeah, we had a whole tangent on. Brian and Matthew had this whole thing where they don't think that the Dark Elves used the Ether properly, so they were both frustrated with that.
Man, I mean that's why they lost, right?
Well,
yeah, I mean
twice.
Twice, yeah. I mean, they're the only race that knew how Ether worked 100%, and they didn't even use Ether to its full potential.
I think the Dark Elves using the Ether correctly would have been just putting a bunch of people in the crowd just cheering on Thor Dark World. Yeah, that movie was amazing.
Yeah, that was the make or break point, right?
Yeah, not the best movie.
No,
I'm a Dark World stan. I like it.
See,
Soundtrack's
I liked it way better than the first Thor movie. Way better.
Just wait till you watch the third one, and then you'll be like, oh, that movie's hot trash.
So then Drax goes full Inigo Montoya. Have you guys seen Princess Bride?
Yeah.
Okay. He's literally
prepared to die.
you killed my family, prepare to die, basically.
Yeah, he did.
He went full Inigo Montoya, which I know it was a poignant moment, but I kind of was laughing at that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this movie reminds me of Wizard of Oz.
Interesting. Why Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
There's a whole scene where they're talking to Thanos, and it reminds me of the scene where they're talking to the wizard, where the wizard's face is blown up on that big wall.
Yeah,
Zordon. And I don't know why.
I'm impressed to know that because I don't.
Zordon is from the Power Rangers.
That's what I was like. Wait a minute. What?
I thought Ronan's ship was really cool. It was this corkscrew kind of thing, and it also kind of reminded me of a bird a little bit. The way that it was flying, that was really cool. I thought that
I've seen Monsters Inc. and Monsters University.
Not for a very long time, but yeah.
You know, one of the monsters that's like literally just like this like slimy looking guy, looks like a football, then like the just tentacle arm things.
Yeah.
Honestly, whenever I see his ship, I think of that. I just think of just the one monster that literally is just like, I think it's purple, has a bunch of eyes, and then just really.
I need to do like
slithers.
this episode out of context and just have that monster, Wizard of Oz, and like a bunch of other like really random things.
Now it's gonna drive me nuts, but yeah, that's what I see all the time. I thought it's always a weird kind of ship design. It also makes me think of a croissant.
Croissant. I thought it kind of looks like a flying eagle a little bit in some angles, but I still don't think they're as cool as the Dark Elves ships in Dark World. Those ships are dope as hell.
Couldn't even tell you what those look like. I've watched Dark World like 3 times. That movie is terrible.
They look like throwing axes.
Yeah.
And apparently they're powered. I found on a MCU wiki page that apparently those ships are powered by black holes. It was an MCU wiki page, so take that with a grain of salt, but still, like, I thought it was cool.
At that point, right? They like try and figure out what they're going on gonna do.
They get picked up by the Ravagers, which, fun fact, the Ravagers AI is Rob Zombie.
Oh. Interesting.
Rob Zombie apparently is really good friends with James Gunn.
Of course he is. I mean, we get cameos in the prison scene.
This movie reunites Michael Rooker, Greg Henry, Nathan Fillion, Rob Zombie, and Lloyd Kaufman, who were all in James' feature film debut Slither in 2006, as well as Super in 2010.
And you see the little Slither alien things in the Collector's vault, too.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Easter eggs in the Collector's vaults. If you go frame by frame, there's a ton.
I mean, at this point in the franchise, wasn't the franchise known for like constant Easter eggs?
Not yet. I would say the Easter eggs start more after Age of Ultron is when a lot more Easter eggs come to light.
Spider-Man Far From Home. The
king
of
Easter
Easter
eggs.
eggs.
Or with Easter
Spider-Man
eggs.
No Way Home. King of Easter eggs.
There you go.
I can't say I've ever heard of the movie Slither.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I watched it and it's interesting.
They do the escape pods and Peter says it.
Yeah.
And then Gamora's like about to die. Peter calls the Ravagers, or Star-Lord calls the Ravagers, puts this guy on Gamora's face, and he almost kicks the bucket to save Gamora's life before Yondu brings them in. And then Rocket has to team up with Groot and Drax to go save Peter and Gamora.
That I remember making a mental note of that for some reason. I never wrote it down.
She rejects him, and then he saves her life. So now she loves him because movies.
It does kind of remind me of the end of Hercules,
Megara,
where he
Megara.
Meg,
a little bit. This is how my brain works. I watch a scene and it immediately makes me think of something completely different. We have this big battle with all of the with Ronan and all of his people.
Like the Nova Corps too.
So yeah, the Nova Corps have to protect Xandar from Ronan, and he's like coming down, and they all interlock in a really cool scene. But,
yeah, that was really cool.
So that was part of the plan. They were in the sky, and Rocket and Groot and Drax make this gun, and they're getting ready to shoot the Ravager's ship. And he goes, "Okay, we're fine." He goes, "Oh, hi, Quill." And then they go on, and he says, "Oh, I have part of a plan." He says, "Well, how much of a plan do you have?" He goes, "Oh, like 11%." And he goes, "That's barely even a plan." And Groot says, "I am Groot." And he goes, "What do you mean it's better than 10%? What does that matter?"
How does Rocket speak Groot?
It was an elective on Asgard.
Yeah.
I think he actually does explain it or reference it somehow too. But
I thought Rocket could understand him because of I thought he was put with a like a chip that could understand everyone, like any alien race.
You know how they say there's an app for that? He's probably got an implant for that.
Yeah, probably Duolingo.
Duolingo. God, I wish we could secure a Duolingo sponsorship.
No hurt trying. Yeah.
But yeah.
So their plan is to go to Xandar and ask for help, and they're basically playing that game, that arcade game where you like the ship on the bottom trying to shoot the ships coming in on the top.
Space Invaders.
Galaga.
Or Galaga, which one?
Batman is playing Galaga.
Yeah. Galaga. Yeah.
So yeah. Quill sends a message to the Nova Corps, and then they decide to help, and he says, "They got my dick message," which is one of the best lines in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they all like lock in place, and he's just gunning at them, and then everybody goes to the ground and starts shooting up like that Galaga game. Yeah. Go on.
And then is that where we are Groot? Ben?
Yes. Yeah. Because the ship is falling.
Yeah. Is the nest a shield? Like the Groot creates almost like a nest.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I do have an issue with a certain scene in the ship. So when Gamora says Ronan's throne is impenetrable, she jumps through the floor and breaks through. Why didn't they just, instead of dealing with the lock, why not just have her break the floor and jump in? Why go through with this undoing the lock for the door?
Because that'd be boring.
It's supposed to be impenetrable. The door was impenetrable and the floor was supposed to be impenetrable.
Well, I'll be honest. I think it'd probably be boring if they just, in a moment of trying to just get the plan over with and get it done and try and save as many lives as possible, they're just going to do something like that. Plus, it's the Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think they really have, like, as Louie was talking about, they only had like 12% of a plan. So they had at least 15. Maybe they would have been able, like, we can go through this door.
Of a plan.
Maybe.
Yeah, so they try to shoot, or they do shoot Ronan with the Rhino. That's not what it's called. That's from Ratchet and Clank. But the big gun. And it doesn't do anything. So,
no. Just bounces off him.
I completely forgot to mention the little arrow thing that Yondu has. That we were mentioning that was like one of the coolest weapons that in this entire movie.
That weapon is loosely based off of his actual comic book weapon. In the comics, he's an archer.
Okay.
And so in the movie, they made him a Ravager, while in the comics, he's a tribal leader. And so he uses bow and arrow. And so I doubt a Ravager would use bow and arrow, so they gave him that sentient arrow.
I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. I was like, whoa, this is something new. I like that.
Yeah, it was different.
Groot is basically just a stick at this point. And then Ronan's getting ready to press the Power Stone staff into the ground, thus destroying Xandar. But then you hear, "Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier." And then, like, you look over and Quill's just like, "Dance off, bro. Me and you." And
everyone is confused.
Yeah, and then what does he say? Ronan says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm distracting you, you turd blossom," or something like that.
I think that's actually what...
Yeah, and then they look over and Rocket's got the gun again, and he shoots the hammer. I don't know if it's a hammer, but it's a thing. And
looks like a hammer.
Yeah, the the Power Stone flies out, and then Peter grabs it, but he's supposed to die, and he starts to die, and then Gamora's like, "Peter, take my hand," just like his mom from earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
And he does, and then they all join together, except for Groot, because he's just a stick now.
Yeah.
And he says, "Who are you?" And he said, "You said it yourself. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy." And then he's like, "Oh," and he presents it, and it just destroys him. So, yeah. That's what happened in between that and the Nova.
Thank you for being better at my job of hosting my own podcast.
Oh, no.
I do host my own. Well, not my own, but I do host a podcast as well.
My ADD is like, when it comes to synopses, I have a really hard time remembering details.
This is my third favorite Marvel movie, as we figured out.
It's okay. I'm the same way with Harry Potter movies. I can literally rattle them off like scene by scene and like line by line. So I can probably quote the first 3 probably.
Yeah, that damn Bathilda Bagshot. She's a thing. Maybe.
Yep, she's a thing.
Yeah, no, she's
I know
there.
who you're talking about.
And then, as you said, they go into Nova Prime's office or whatever, and their bad things get expunged, and they're free to live. And then they're, said he's got some power in him or somebody's dad.
Well, because they had some comment about his dad, and then because my thought was like, who's his dad? And then being a citizen of the internet, it's hard to avoid, especially when you follow a bunch of Marvel people online and stuff. And I saw somebody referencing, I don't remember who it was, but somebody on, I think it was Instagram or Twitter, somebody was saying that Peter Quill's dad is an alien of some kind. That's all I know. I don't have any context for it.
I mean, technically, Peter's an alien.
Technically. In a loose
He's a
way.
Terran.
Yeah, true.
I guess he's an alien to them. We got Dancing Groot.
Well, yeah, they talk about his dad a little bit, and then John C. Reilly takes him out, and he's just like, oh, you guys are free to do your thing, but don't break any laws, or we will come get you. And then they have a few jokes there.
What if someone has something that I want more? Like, that's still stealing. It's like, but
what if I rip somebody's spine out?
Really want it.
Yeah, like
But you don't understand. I wanted more than him, sir.
Rocket's the best, man.
That's murder. Literally the worst thing you can do.
Okay. It walks away.
Yeah. And then they get into the Milano, and they're like, what should we do? Something good? Something bad? Bit of both? And then they all like cheer or whatever, and he goes, a bit of both.
There's a shot at the end of the NovaCorps building. I'm assuming that's what they based the ride at Disney off of, is the NovaCorps building.
They have the ship for sure.
When they rebranded Tower of Terror.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
There's
that one is more about the
There's
collector.
one at
Yeah, I'm
Disneyland.
thinking of the one in Disney World that just opened up. That's Cosmic
Yeah,
Rewind. It has a NovaCorps ship outside of it.
For the record, I haven't been to either one, so I can't.
Neither have I. I just watch a lot of Disney Park YouTube videos. I have a
Same.
bad habit of that.
There's one in Disneyland that is a rebrand off of Tower of Terror. That is, I'm pretty sure that's the NovaCorps building. And then there's the one that just opened in Disney World I keep getting ads for it. It's like Cosmic
Rewind.
Cosmic Rewind. That's what I keep wanting to call it. Cosmic Wonder for some reason. I don't know what that even means.
Yeah, and the one in Disneyland in California, that's supposed to actually be the collector's place.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, Terry Crews shows up. Yeah, he's in like the videos for it.
I don't want to tell you why Terry Crews shows up, but there's a reason he shows up.
I love Terry Crews. Like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is like one of my all-time favorite shows of all time. So
why does he show up? I don't even know.
I don't remember why he shows up.
So Terry Crews, no, he's not. Never mind. I'm wrong.
I think I know what you're thinking of now, Louie.
I was thinking that in Guardians 2, he was at the end of Guardians 2, but that was Ving Rhames, so I'm wrong.
End credit scene is Howard the Duck. Shout out to you, Brian.
What do you let him lick you like that for? Gross.
I found that rendering of Howard the Duck incredibly unsettling.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's pretty much almost
unsettling.
identical to the movie that they made.
No, I don't like it. Sorry, Brian.
It's it's almost exactly the same as the movie.
Are we gonna do an episode? We should do a special episode on Howard the Duck. I think that would be fun.
You think that they look the same, the movie and then this one? Is that what you're saying?
They look pretty similar.
Oh no, that movie is horrifying. The rendering now is like much sleeker and
I thought it was a whole.
I think they're both.
The movie is like little and
horrifying.
chunky, and in this one he's like slender, and I feel like he's smoking a cigar or something.
No, I think it's the reason why I find it unsettling is that it reminds me of those video games that the humans look too real, and it creeps me out a little bit.
Fair enough.
Just saying. So apparently Chris Pratt cites Han Solo and Marty McFly as influences.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, this is part of why we got the Chris Pratt is literally everything, including Mario. This is, I mean, besides Park and Rec, I mean, this is really what launched him into becoming like the go-to male lead actor for action stuff.
Because he was literally just on Parks and Rec before this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he was in that army movie.
True.
Before this, was that Black Hawk Down or?
Yeah, it was Black Hawk Down.
One of those movies where he got all jacked for that movie. I could.
But I mean, I know a lot of people weren't extremely happy that they announced that it was going to be him doing it because everyone saw him as his Park and Rec character,
Andy Dwyer.
Yeah, they saw him as Andy Dwyer.
He's kind of a doofus.
Yeah, not as an action person.
That's like somebody like an Andy Samberg in a movie like this. Like it's the same kind of caliber. Can you imagine like a Jake Peralta being Star-Lord or somebody like that?
I think he would be a great Star-Lord, honestly.
Yeah.
I think Andy Samberg should be in a movie. I think
Zero Dark 30, not Black Hawk Down.
They're very similar movies if I'm remembering correctly.
Isn't his co-star from Jurassic World in that movie also with him?
Was it
about Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yeah.
No, that's Jessica Chastain. Is in Zero Dark 30.
Okay.
They look really similar though. So a lot of the fun facts I found about James Gunn specifically, the man's a weird dude.
Yeah, he is. Watch Slither. This dude also did both Scooby-Doo movies. Hey, I stand by those Scooby-Doo movies. They are that's
dog?
like a time.
And,
it's a time capsule.
I have those movies scarred into my brain. Apparently.
Scrappy-Doo. Oh my god.
I didn't know they were James Gunn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That makes a lot more sense now.
Apparently, James Gunn would keep a little pile of Play-Doh containers and he would give them out as gifts if somebody did a really good job because, quote, I love the smell of Play-Doh. And
of course he does.
Container and smelling it puts me in a creative, childlike place.
Did you guys ever dabble into like the bonus content of it? Because I never knew about it until I was rewatching it like a couple months ago. They have a really, really good for this movie. And it's on Disney Plus. You can see on the extras side. But basically, they have this own little like 8-bit video game looking version of going through the movie and like doing Easter eggs and all that as they kind of like do their like making of documentary. It's like maybe like 15, 20 minutes, but it's really well done.
Yeah, like James Gunn, all of the fun facts I found out about him specifically, like apparently he gave Dave Bautista a Drax lunchbox as a gift.
Apparently,
nice.
Dave Bautista collects vintage lunchboxes.
Huh.
And then Bautista gave
championships.
Bautista gave Chris Pratt and
Zoe Saldana
a custom WWE championship belts.
Ah.
Those are probably worth a lot, though.
Mm-hmm.
Probably worth pretty much nothing, if I had to guess. Yes.
He quit. He quit
Apparently
wrestling.
He also had to spend like 9 hours in makeup every single day.
Or 5.
Yeah.
That's like the same thing with like Jim Carrey when he did The Grinch. He had to spend like 12 hours in makeup or something. And like he had like PTSD from the makeup alone on that movie. That's absolute insanity to me.
And that's why he's trying to kill Sonic now. So.
Yeah.
Well, that just about wraps Guardians of the Galaxy.
He did open the present from his mom, and it was the Awesome Mix Volume 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the music for Guardians 2.
Yeah, is that like basically we're definitely doing a second one kind of thing?
Yeah, because they even say Guardians is from that.
Yeah.
I got so stoked when I first saw that in the scenes. It says like the Guardians will return. I was like, damn. I miss that era, especially like in Phase 2 and all that, when like they would say like blah 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 will return. Like, oh heck yeah, like it gets me so stoked. It's like, are they in their own movie? Are they gonna show up in another movie? It's so cool. But
well, anybody else have anything to say?
It's a great movie.
So
yeah, overall, I'm not sure how I feel about this movie, to be completely honest. It was fun, but it doesn't stack in my favorites. Like, I still like Iron Man and Captain America better.
Actually, that's a good question. Since you're like, well, Part A, are you going to be seeing Thor: Love and Thunder before you finish the rest of the movies leading up to it?
Probably not.
No. So
Love and Thunder comes out like next week.
Yeah, that's to say, you gotta power through.
I probably will. Because I still need to watch Doctor Strange.
Because when we record these episodes, like we try to record them like a day or two after we watch the movies. So as of recording this episode, I haven't seen any farther than this movie.
Gotcha. So where does this movie stand in your like up to what you've seen so far? Where do you rank this in?
Probably somewhere in the middle. My tops are like Iron Man and Captain America, the first Captain America. I couldn't tell you why I like certain movies over others. I don't know. You gravitate towards what you like.
You saw Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah.
And you like the first Captain America better?
I was wondering what your look was.
I didn't dislike Winter Soldier.
You hurt my heart.
I didn't dislike Winter Soldier. I just think I liked the first
Winter Soldier is my #1 film in the MCU.
Oh, hurt my heart.
And I'm a diehard Spidey fan. Winter Soldier will always be my favorite. It is so damn good.
Thor Ragnarok's my favorite, but
I thought all of them except for personally, I really didn't like Thor. I thought most of the movies were a good time. Like I enjoyed them, but still like Captain America, and I can't decide which Iron Man is my favorite. I really liked 1 and 3, and then like 2 just under those.
2's the best.
I have weird takes. I know.
I want my board.
I love Iron Man 2. I'm sorry. I'm a stand for Iron Man 2. That movie is hilarious. I love it.
Iron Man 2.
I want my bird. We
it's
can have
not
a bird.
just, like,
Get him all.
I genuinely, the only one that I can say that I dislike is Thor. There were large parts of Hulk I didn't like, but I still had a good time.
Well, you haven't seen the Eternals.
I'm not looking forward to rewatching that.
You want to talk about romance? Hey.
Unnecessary romance is what I really.
I don't know if it's unnecessary, but
it doesn't add anything to the story in Eternals.
But yeah, I mean, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. Personally, I don't think it lived up to the hype that a lot of people were telling me.
Oh yeah, that's the problem. Is everybody's like, just wait till you watch this, and then you're like expecting so much. But when we saw it, it was like, who cares about these guys? You know, we just watched the Avengers 2 years ago. Yeah, that movie is nothing is ever going to beat that movie. We were wrong, but
yeah.
So when we went and saw it, it was like just a bunch of ragtag guys nobody's ever heard of, and we watched that, and it was just amazing. It was so good. And what was I going to say? Oh, and then DC tried to copy the thing and did the Suicide Squad, which was not well received. I liked it, but nobody else did. So Guardians just gets pushed up even more and more from that.
I think I personally prefer the individual movies. I just think that it's easier for me to, I already established I'm like super ADD. So like it's easier for me to wrap my brain around the character development and the story when it's like, a handful of characters as opposed to like this group as a whole. And so I'm looking forward to seeing more of these characters and learning more about them. I think really what it comes down to is I had so many people building this movie up to me that I'm not sure if it lived up to that.
So do you guys have Age of Ultron next? Am I right?
Yep.
Yes. Yep. Next episode will be Age of Ultron.
Then Ant-Man, then it's the end of Phase 2, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron is good. It is.
I have heard nothing. I have like zero expectations.
Age of Ultron is good. I will tell you this: it is the worst Avengers movie, but it's still really good. So take that.
I hear so much about Infinity War and so much about Endgame that I have high expectations for those. But Age of Ultron, I hear nothing.
Oh, Infinity War and Endgame. Without giving you too much, those are phenomenal movies.
They're
the first Avengers was also a phenomenal movie. So this one had a lot to live up to. It just didn't quite get there, but it's still really good, I'd say.
Yeah.
Avengers is my rainy day movie. Like if I'm like, crappy weather, just want to like feel like comfort, I watch the Avengers 2012.
frankly.
Honestly, phase 1 is my favorite phase in the MCU. I love it to this day.
I just wonder how long they're going to do phase 4.
Well, it's ending soon.
I mean, it also has the most movies because it has all the TV shows in it.
Yeah, we were just talking about this the other day, right, Louie? Wasn't like over like 18, like 20 pieces of content basically by the time it's like gonna finish.
Yeah, it's wild. I was just telling Devin the other day, I was folding laundry watching Infinity War, and I was like, I don't know, man, this movie's damn good.
I just can't believe we're already towards the end of phase 2. I feel like we just started.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beginning
is long.
At the beginning, yeah, you got 5 movies or whatever to get you to phase 1, and then phase 2 is 7 movies or 6 movies.
Because Marvel is such a beast and it's ongoing, we're not sure where to, because eventually we want this podcast to branch out to other fandoms. And if we go on to other fandoms, and we know full well they're going to continue to make other stuff.
Stop after Endgame. Take a break there.
We've been told that.
Infinity Saga.
Anywho, let's wrap this guy up for everybody who's still here.
Tell the people where to find you guys and all that.
All right, everybody. I'm sure you're sick of my dumb voice. My name is Louie, my wonderful podcast partner here.
I'm Devin.
Devin, yes.
I don't know.
We are Earth,
apparently.
We are Earth894. We are available on...
Where does that name come from, by the way? I was curious.
Oh, yeah, we didn't tell a story. Yeah.
Finally, somebody asked. Devin and I were both born in August of 1994.
So I was born in September 94.
I was born in May of 94.
So this whole podcast has been making these jokes, making us feel old. We're the same age.
Yeah, you were almost part of 894, but so yeah, we were born a couple days apart, August of 94. That's where the 894 comes from.
Yeah, because we were trying to come up with names and everything, and we thought of like phase 894, and then I think Louie was like Earth, and it made so much sense because like how they introduced in Far From Home ideas.
Because we were both like, I was asking Matthew, I was like, is it like a name of somebody's ship? What is it?
I was thinking because I know that there's a Marvel universe. I think it's like 894.
If there is, we're gonna rip it. The day they say Earth 894 in the MCU, best believe I'm about to rip that till the day we die. I'm gonna use that sound drop immediately. I've literally been trying to find. Oh, I can't. Never mind. I can't say it. Never mind. I'm gonna spoil a Spider-Man piece, so never mind.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to work on sound clips artificially to make it sound like Earth 894 organically.
Okay.
So we're available on Instagram, all podcasts. Like I said, all podcast players. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I guess. We have our own website. Devin?
Yeah, so all that is going to be at Earth894 Podcast on all the platforms, but you can go check us out, see your full list of episodes, interviews, everything. www.earth894podcast.com, and you can find everything. We got a Discord. We got it all.
Thank you so much, you guys, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Y'all go check them out, even though y'all probably came from them. So
oh, good. Thanks so much for having us on. It's been a blast doing this and kind of like taking a break from trying to stay, with the ongoing content, like with Miss Marvel rewatch or like watch going on review. It's kind of nice to just kind of have a nice discussion about like something in the past a little bit. So it was kind of like invigorating and yeah, it was good to have a retrospective part.
Gave me a reason to watch one of my favorite movies again.
Because at that point, it's not like you're not just watching it because you're like bored or doing something. You're like, no, honey, I'm studying. I'm doing it's work related. I'm doing work right now. Let me watch the damn movie. It's work. Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Thank you so much. Next week we are covering Age of Ultron, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
If you would like to send us any feedback or any messages, you can follow us over on Instagram at thefanclub_podcast or on Twitter at fanclub_podcast. Or you can discuss each episode with us over on our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/thefanclubpodcast. And make sure that you tune in every Marvel Monday.